All right, welcome in, everybody. Good evening. It is your girl, Miss Cat, your coach, accountability partner, and teacher. And welcome to the CEO Mode Activated Teaching Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we're doing something to help you take your business and elevate and go to the next level. So tonight, I'm super excited because I don't have to yip yap tonight. I have one of my esteemed colleagues on. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself. But tonight I'm passing the torch and I'm going to let my girl do what she do. So let's go ahead in the chat. You don't have to unmute yourself, but let's go ahead and say hello to Miss Arianna Frank. Hey there, girl. Welcome in. Thank you so much for teaching us tonight. Welcome in. You're muted, lovely.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. I am trying to get my life together here and share my screen, the right one, not my Amazon order. Okay. All right. My name is Arianna Frank. I am the owner of Rise Corporation. That is a corporation that's encompassed of a few things, but tonight I am here in the capacity of your tax strategist and business owner. I focus on helping people understand how to move the right way when it comes to their business and their taxes. So, as business owners, we know, just as people, honestly, and consumers, a lot of us or a lot of people are making money but don't fully understand how to structure themselves, what they actually owe, how to stay compliant. And that's where I come in to kind of break things down in a way that actually is going to make sense for you so that you can not only make money, but keep it, manage it properly, operate like a real business. And my goal is to help you get clear, structured guidance so that you can move forward with confidence. So, one thing I always say as a business owner is you're not making money until you're making money, right? So, as a business owner, you start off, you're pressing, you're not making money, then boom, all of a sudden you're making money. I never want you to be the business owner with reference to structure or taxes to where now you have to work backwards. You got to figure out how to undo something that you've kind of messed up already along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to some concepts in tax that you may or may not be familiar with. I'm going to start with I'm gonna say just a little precursor. Tax law is so vast, okay? Tax law is big. I mean, like, there's what is it, like 75,000 pages of tax law? It's crazy, right? But as a business owner, the first important thing is for you to understand is how to shift your mindset as a business owner as it relates to taxes. Because when you are an employee, employees, you pay your taxes as you go. So as you earn, you pay your taxes. But when you become a business owner, you receive all of your income first, right? And then you are responsible for paying taxes after. So everybody on this call are either business owners or aspiring business owners, all at different levels in your business. I'm going to pause and I'm going to say, honestly, how many business owners here think, hey, I made $12,000 this month. Let me take out the percentage of taxes that apply to me according to my filing status. Just go ahead and drop one in the chat if y'all doing that. If y'all getting that $5,000 check and you're saying, let me take taxes out of that. Y'all doing that? Nope. Okay. I didn't think I would see many ones because that's just not how we moving out here. But the idea is for you to start thinking in the way of a business owner so that you already, good job, Maureen, so that you already know, hey, you know what? This is not all my money. A portion of this money goes to the government, right? Depending upon my filing status, my expenses, my credits, whatever that may look like. Especially for our single filers, I'm so sorry, right? Sometimes we're filing single, we don't have any homes, no businesses, no outside real estate. So those taxes are really going to hit you harder. But nonetheless, where there's income, there are income taxes. Okay. So I had a client recently who owns a home care agency, made a bunch of money in her home care agency, did not understand why after she paid payroll taxes, this tax, that tax, while she still had to pay income taxes. Because where there's income, even if you have a bunch of deductions, if you have income left over, you're going to be taxed on that income, right? So we can't expect to make money and there's no taxes. So where there's income, there's taxes. And once you understand that, you can start planning ahead instead of being reactive, okay? So, income, sorry, taxes are your responsibility, right? It's not something that we can just say, I don't want to pay taxes. I don't like taxes. We cannot like taxes all day. That's cool. I don't like them either. Seriously. In fact, I probably don't like them a lot more than the average person. But at the end of the day, you have the reality is you have a tax liability. There are certain tax tables that are set up where the government has it published on the government site, Internal Revenue Services, and it says you are supposed to pay this much money if you make this much money. You don't have a choice. So you have to get into the mindset of income taxes are my responsibility. I am responsible for paying income taxes. So as you earn money, when we earn money as an employer, we're earning our money and we giving our people our tax preparer, or we're looking at it ourselves and we're saying, here's my W-2. When you are a business owner, you have to make sure that you're keeping those records and that you are reporting your income regardless to how you receive it, whether it's Zelle, Cash App, Stripe, the homeboy, the homegirl, I don't know, whomever, however you're receiving that income, you want to make sure that you're recording that income, okay? This applies to whether your business is full time or whether it's part time. You want to make sure of that. It's your responsibility. I want to say it again, guys. It's your responsibility. I think people sometimes have a natural aversion to taxes, which I get. I earn this money and I got to give it to you. Why? I don't understand. I already paid sales tax. I already paid property tax. Now you want tax on my income? The income that I use to pay this and that tax? I get it, but it's our responsibility, okay? So as business owner, we have a what we call estimated taxes, right? So because you are not getting withholdings taken out of a paycheck, you are responsible for paying those taxes as a business owner, right? So sometimes you might need to pay your estimated taxes. That is according to your tax liability, right? I'm not going to take a deep dive into what your tax liability would be, but I want you to understand the concept of estimated taxes are not, because your taxes are not automatically taken out of your wages, the IRS does require you to pay taxes throughout the year in quarterly payments, right? So you don't want to wait until tax season and be like, oh, I owe $7,000. I mean, unless you just don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're being responsible and you have a structured plan to calculate and send in those estimated tax payments. Okay. Making sure your business is not a hobby. So a lot of people take the business startup to the next level. We're not doing 5 years losses, 6 years losses on your business no more. You want to make sure that your business is profitable and that you are, in fact, working your business, and that we are we are operating with the intent to profit, right? We want to make sure that we're in business to profit. So do whatever you got to do to make sure your activities are consistent, that things are organized, and that you're profit driven. Because the last thing you want is for the IRS to classify your business as a hobby. So let's get into expenses to lower your tax liability. Because overall, this is how you this is how you avoid having a tax balance, is by lowering your tax liability, right? You lower your tax liability through deductions, credits. This is how you lower your tax liability, and proper tax structuring, right? So, with this being said, you want to make sure that your expenses are necessary and ordinary for your business. So, a lot of times as business we want to write off everything. The IRS wants to look and make sure that those particular items that you're writing off, that they are actually ordinary and necessary to the business that you are running. And with that being said, your tax professional or through your research can help you identify which expenses are ordinary and necessary. Record keeping, guys, record keeping is huge. IRS is cracking down more and more on record keeping. You want to make sure that you're not just going to your professional and you're like, oh yeah, I bought this, I bought this, I bought that. No, you want to make sure that you have items or records to support your purchases, right? This ties into making sure that you're not commingling funds. The best way that I could say strategically for you to make sure that you are tracking your expenses is not to commingle funds. So if you are buying for your business, use your business bank account, use your business credit card so that you're able to go back to that particular statement and say, hey, this is where highlighted, right? My highlighter right here, because every month I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight, and make sure that my books are right, because you don't want to go and scramble in the event that IRS audits you. IRS will audit your business. They will audit your records, and you want to make sure that you are in a good audit position. So make sure that you save any invoices, bank statements. And I'm going to tell you something about this. The IRS is a little bit tricky. Not a little bit tricky. They're a lot a bit tricky because the code is still outdated with regard to what the business owner should keep. When you look at the tax code, they asking for check registers and canceled checks and this, and their scope around electronic reporting is very limited. And the last thing you want to do is be in an audit and you're like, wait a minute, I have, all of this electronic stuff, spreadsheets and whatever. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't count. So I always, it's later on in our presentation, but I always recommend at this point, just get you some type of bookkeeping software. Use that business account, use your business credit cards, and do not commingle funds. It's about this. Being a business owner is about being disciplined. So you might have to, and that goes back to mindset. We might have to reevaluate if we are not disciplined enough to use a business bank account, to use our credit cards. We need to go ahead and reevaluate ourselves to see if we're actually disciplined enough to be a business owner. I know sometimes we all slip up, but let's just start off on the right track. Again, bookkeeping is what keeps your business organized and controlled. A lot of business owners don't either want to take the time or they don't want to take the money to pay for a bookkeeper. If you don't want to take the time to do your bookkeeping, think of it as a necessary business expense. Just like I'm pretty sure Ms. Cat has talked to you about, your CRM, your whatever your business is, whatever you feel is necessary. Look at bookkeeping and your taxes as a necessary business expense, right? Not something you can wait for. You want to say, you know what? If I don't know how, or if I do not have time, or if it's not my ultimate expertise, I want to outsource this and get someone to help me with my books. Just because you're a small business doesn't mean that you don't need that, right? You don't want to guess. You want to be an expert at what you do in your business. And I'm pretty sure, I know Miss Cat has talked about that, I'm sure. And if not, I'm sure she will. It's nothing wrong with wearing all the hats in we want to get away from wearing all the hats in our business and start to operate like a CEO so that you're outsourcing some of those things so that you can perfect and be in the areas of your business where you're better served, right? You don't want to be guessing because that leads to mistakes, stress, and over paying, right? A lot of times when we're trying to, I don't want to say be cheap, but be cheap, we end up paying more than if we would have just went ahead and did what we needed to do. So we don't want to do that, right? When your bookkeeping is consistent, I'm going to tell you what tax season looks like. It looks like your tax preparer going in, running a report, and helping you deliver your stuff with like no problem whatsoever. It doesn't look like stress. It doesn't look like scrambling because everything is already prepared. Every business owner needs a system that keeps their financial activities clear. We talked about separating finances and no commingling, and I'm gonna talk about it again. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I am the biggest offender of this. Out of all the clients that I have, right, I keep them on track. They are on point. Out of all the people that I train in tax, this is a weak area for me. So that's why I know firsthand as a business owner how easy it is when you're driving through that drive-through to get them kids that Chick-fil-A. If that card is right there, like here you go, happy 3263, ma'am. You need to really make sure that you are not commingling funds. Now, I have gotten better over the last year and a half. But I think because it's one of my weak points, I'm generally able to coach my clients real good. You know, we do a good job of telling people to do stuff that we don't do. That's the best, right? Something you're not doing, you can easily tell somebody else to do it. But nonetheless, you always want to make sure that you're not commingling funds because you want to be in compliance, okay? Very important. Just to add to that, everybody here, I know you all want legitimate businesses, right? Let me go ahead and get one in the chat for those who want legitimate businesses. Okay, let me go ahead and drop mine in there. I want to stay legit. Okay, so everybody want legitimate businesses. This is a necessary thing for legitimate businesses. Okay, you don't want to get to the table and they be like, your last 2 years tax returns. You're like, oh my God. Um, Let me go gather those. You don't want to be that person, right? You don't want them to ask for a balance sheet or a profit and loss or the last Imagine you up for a loan, some funding, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and point back to Miss Cat because I know she's gonna take y'all through there, all the way through there, right? You don't want to get to that point and you don't have what you need to have, right? And nobody wants to go back and undo 3 years of profitability, right? To make sure that you're able to claim what's due to you, right? We got to play this the right way. And it's important to me. It's really my passion and I work with my business owners because we want you to play the game the right way, the legitimate way, the way that's going to keep you in business for a long time, the way that's going to put you in position to tell somebody else what to do. So you're going to need to tell your kids how to run your business. These areas like taxes and bookkeeping and record keeping, these are areas, not commingling. These are areas where you cannot be at a deficit. You can't. It's your money. It's not something you could do. Yeah, too legit to quit. So EIN and legitimizing your business. All right. So I'm not going to go all into business structuring and entities and all that. Not going to do it. But you want to make sure that you are recognized with the Internal Revenue Service as a business. And how you do that is not by your LLC, not by your corporation. Those are formed at the state level. So I'm pretty sure, maybe you do or maybe you don't. But a lot of times when you have a sole proprietor, or even a single member, whatever, I've seen them even at corporations, they don't have a EIN number. Make sure that you have your EIN number because that is the number that goes on your taxes. Yes, your business name goes on there, but truthfully, the IRS only cares about your EIN number. And then also, if you have your EIN number, you can begin to get paid from other organizations under your EIN versus under your Social Security number. So that can help shift some of that income over to your business from you. So this is one of the steps you take and you go from casually making money to actually running a business. Now, this is going to be just quick awareness on business structures. And I'm going over this because it affects how you're taxed, right? When we talk about taxes in business, most people want to know how, most people want to know what business structure I should choose, right? I'm not going to tell you that tonight. I'm just going to tell you what the structures are and briefly how they apply to you in taxes. So, when you start a business, you have to choose a business structure. That structure determines how you're taxed. What forms you file with the Internal Revenue Service. A sole proprietor is owned by one person and comes with full personal liability and self-employment taxes. So what that means is that's just you, boo-boo, all you. There's no business separating your liability. Everything is coming to you. And you have to pay self-employment taxes on that. So when you are an employer, you pay one half of taxes for your employee and they pay the other half. When you are self-employed, you are the employer and the employee. You pay the whole 15.3%. So think about that. When you structure yourself and you say, "Hey, I'm self-employed. I'm a sole proprietor." If you're a sole proprietor and you're making like 300,000, you might want to take a look at that and see what that looks like and holler at Miss Cat and go ahead and get your life together, okay? You might want to take a look at that because you're going to be paying 15.3% in self-employment tax. And those taxes, all of your income that you make is all you. That income don't have nowhere to sit, nowhere to be distributed. That's all of your income, okay? So then we have your LLC. Your LLC, if you're a single member, is going to act much like your sole proprietorship, okay? You can have your LLC partnership, and then you have your corporations, and your corporation is C Corp and S Corp. So your C Corp, your S Corp, your LLC to some degree offers a separation between you and the business. But just know, if you're self-employed, it's all on you. If it's okay, I will share a business entity pros and cons and business entity comparison chart with Miss Cat, and she can share that with you guys so that you can go in and say, "I want to do this, I don't want to do this." It's a matrix and it shows you exactly and helps you pick, and choose which business entity you want. Okay. And also, I want to talk about this too. When you're choosing, remember that an S Corp is not a business entity. It is an election. So whatever your business entity is, if you elect to be an S Corp, that is simply electing how you want to be taxed. So we don't want to go around looking for an S Corp to be our entity because you're not going to find it. Even though at your state level, you might see stock corporation, but that's not an S Corp. I know. I'm going to give you out a matrix so that you can go over it. Okay. Because this discussion is probably like a 3 to 4 hour discussion to really break it down for you to understand. Okay. So just research your options and choose how you want your business to operate and be taxed. At the end of the day, being a business owner means you're responsible for your financial activity. This is pretty much what we've gone over. You're responsible for tracking your income, documenting your expenses, keeping your records, filing your tax return, paying your taxes. Even if you have a tax professional, you still have to be a part of that process. There's a certain part of that process that your tax professional cannot do for you. We cannot help you with your mindset to think, "Hey, you know what? I got to pay." One thing business owners have a hard time sometimes adjusting to is you got to pay. You got to pay for mentorship. You got to pay for vendors. You got to pay for software. You got to pay for taxes. I ain't never paid employees. I ain't never paid for so much in my entire life. Every time I turn around, I have to pay something. So You have to make sure that you have that mindset and that you are structured and that you are disciplined. And the more you have over more control you have over your money is the more control you have over your business. Again, in closing, structure is the difference. Making money is not enough. We talked about that in the beginning. You can make a whole bunch of money, but that's not enough. You got to do more, right? The real difference comes from how you manage it. I should have put in there how you grow, how you invest it, and how you grow it. And also, when you understand your tax responsibilities, keep proper records, operate with structure, that's how you avoid the costly mistakes and you build something sustainable. I want everybody to write down that word sustainable. It may not mean nothing today, but just when you think about building your business, I want you to kind of ponder on the word sustainable over time, right? Because nobody, don't get me wrong, as a business owner, we always have to stay ahead of the curve. We always have to invent. We always have to be creative. But you don't want to continue to start from scratch. So you want to build a sustainable organization, right? If you have a book of business, I don't know what everyone does, but let's just, I mean, for a simple analogy or a simple story, let's say you sell, I don't know, car washing fluid, and you have 125 people who's buying that from you every month. You want to sustain those clients. You want to sustain, everything in your business is about sustainability because you don't want to have these surges of big money. And the next thing you got to do, you got to start over from scratch, right? When you go into your business, it's about building. You take that 120 clients and you stack another 20 or 30 on them every single year. You don't want to constantly churn clients, and you don't want to constantly break your systems down. So if you created a proper structure of taxes, if you created a proper structure of marketing, if you created a proper structure of advertising, whatever that is, you want to make sure that you're building something that's sustainable, right? Quick money is cool, but you just want to make sure that it's something that's going to last, right? And be duplicatable. So again, where there is taxable income, where there is income, there are taxes. That's your taxable income. When you plan like that, you end up moving like a real business owner and not just someone making money. So I always love the open discussion more than I like listening to myself talk. I do, because that's when you really learn, when you really just chop it up. So I am going to open the floor now for open discussion.
Before we do that, though, first of all, thank you so much. I just want to be clear to everybody. I know that we have different levels and different phases of entrepreneurs on this call. So I told her to do a blanket, just high level overview. So that way, especially for our newbies, it wouldn't be too too overwhelming. Okay, because tax foundation can be complex. It could be overwhelming. So I appreciate the overview, and hopefully, I pray that this has been beneficial to somebody tonight. So, I always love when we have our speakers come and take out their time to bless your game. If I could just get two people just to give Miss Arianna her flowers real quick for the information that she provided, so that way she can open up the floor. Can I get two people just to unmute and just what did you learn tonight? How did this information help you? And how are you going to use it in your business? Can I get two people?
I
Yeah.
got you. This is Elaine. I got you. So I jumped on a little late. I was getting out of another coaching call, but I caught enough of it that it was good information. And I think the biggest takeaway I had, thank you, Miss, is it Arianna? Arianna, Miss Franks, um, is just really separating funds. That's one thing that I have not been good about. And, that's one of the things that resonated with me is just that keep it simple, keep them separated. And I think that's the big thing that resonated with me. And then also, um, you got to pay to run a business, and you gotta, the other thing is, I've always been a proponent of, hey, if you paying taxes, you making money, right? So thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate the time.
welcome.
I missed the first 15 minutes, so if you share those slides, I would love to see them. If
Oh
you don't
well.
normally do that, that's fine, but thank you.
No, and
Okay, okay.
I definitely will. And thank you so much for sharing that feedback. And yes, that is one of the biggest mindset shifts, is especially when we go from 9 to 5, when we're getting a refund every year, to crossing over and having to pay. Like, that's the biggest reality check. That and sometimes it's a good pat on the back reality check, but sometimes it's like, really though? so yeah, so thank you so much for that transparency. Who wants to chime in next? Can I get
I
one more
got you.
person before y'all
I
flood
got you.
her with all y'all questions?
I got you. I got you. Let's
All
see.
right.
Let's see. Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, Ariana, thank you so much for doing this.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I appreciate the structure that you laid out, and that's so important because as us good Black folks, we like to do hood business and not good business a lot of times. And so having the discipline to go ahead and take that 20-30% off the top, you gotta just treat it like a drug deal and go ahead and gotta put that kickback, you gotta put that to the side immediately so you don't wind up somewhere in a bad position. And
Yeah,
Uncle
this is
Sam's the
true.
biggest gangster of all. Uncle Sam's the biggest gangsters in the biggest
The
gang in the world.
biggest. Yeah, the biggest, the largest.
Don't want no smoke. So appreciate
Yeah,
you for
you're
keeping my
welcome.
financial life safe.
You're
I can
welcome.
I
You're welcome.
cannot with you, El. Thank you for that feedback. But I so that does actually lead me to the first question, if you don't mind. Is for those that want to take that 20 and 30%, and pay it out quarterly. You mentioned that, right? How does one, how does one do that? Is that something that they can do on their own? Do they facilitate that through a tax professional? For those that are trying to do the right thing.
Okay, so the IRS has done a very good job in recent years of updating their website and offering more information to the taxpayers up front. It's not always digestible, but it's there. So I would say I'm gonna say this. As a business owner, just get you a tax professional. Just get you somebody to help. Get yourself an accounting firm, a tax professional who does bookkeeping. It doesn't have to be anything. See, this is the thing. Most professionals can meet you where you are. They will either tell you, yes, I can help you, little miss, I make $400 or $500 a month. I got a $59 a month plan for you. Or here goes this software for free. You just start using it. Or your scope of work is too large, Mr. 10 billion a year. Most professionals will tell you if they're able to work with you. So my suggestion is to go with the professional. Why? Because as a business owner, I understand all the hats you have to wear in your business. I understand a lot of us are have started off bootstrapping our business. So why would you take something so important and, you know, risk doing it wrong or whatever the case may be? But if you should so choose to do it on your own, IRS has a website, obviously, and the irs.gov website, there's a section for estimated taxes. It gives you a complete guide and it gives you a document that shows you how to calculate those estimated taxes. You do have to know what your tax position is, and that's where tax planning comes in order to estimate those taxes. but the guidance is there on the IRS website.
Thank you for answering that question. So if I don't know if you're actively, taking any clients or anything like that, but do you have a resource or, just for because some people on here want to do it the right way. So what can they get with you? Do you have a partner? How does that work?
No, it's funny, Kat. You know I'm not the salesy type. You already know me. My business be real organic, but I will drop my email in the chat. If you're interested, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. And I went ahead and put that website in the chat as well, for those that may be interested in just going to the IRS and doing their own due diligence, because this is not a sales pitch. We're just simply trying to provide you, with solutions. Did anybody else, while we have, uh, Miss Arianna on the line, did y'all have any other questions or any other feedback? Anything else that, while you have someone here that can serve?
I did have a quick question. Is there a way to automate the tax deduction process so that, I can put it in QuickBooks or something and make it thought where it's just automatically draws from my account the pre-planned amount and sends it to the IRS so I don't have to think about that?
Okay, so since the IRS, no. Not that I know of. I don't know of one where it draws from your account automatically, sends it to the IRS, but there are tools that you can use that will track those deductions for you and do a lot of the work for you. Yes, absolutely. I also have a tool that helps with budgeting. So I'm going to give that over. I'm going to give that to you too. I don't have the link on me. I got to get it from my assistant, but I'm going to send it over to you, Miss Cat, so that you can share it. So, my recommendation for software, you said QuickBooks. QuickBooks is fine, but I'm all about simplicity. Okay, super simple. As you grow, your needs will change. Change. Most business owners that I know of, unless they have heavy inventory, but those are generally done like in an inventory management system or something like that. Wave apps is just fine. I mean, it's simple. You get a lot of automations. You know when you're getting paid. You can do your invoicing. They have payroll. They have everything that pretty much QuickBooks has. It's just a lighter version of bookkeeping software. And I recommend it to my clients. Um, yes, I recommend that to my clients because I'm still able to go in there as their accountant and still categorize, still do all of their stuff, but it's easy for them to follow. QuickBooks has a learning curve for a lot of people, and sometimes there's extra costs involved with QuickBooks. I find that their reporting, and this is not a QuickBooks bashing session. I just think QuickBooks is really good for the professionals. Um, they haven't really customized it to be user friendly to me. So that's just to me. If you're running a business, you don't have time to, have to pick up the phone and call QuickBooks and ask them where this and that is. So Wave apps is my preferred app for bookkeeping. I have clients who make over 2 million, $3 million a year, and they still rocking real hard with Wave apps. So, you know,
I
real estate
piggyback
developer who makes what I would say now about 12 million a year. Wave still fine for them.
I was gonna say I piggybacked on you, Ariana, and I put it in the chat for them. So
Okay.
I did put the Wave app link in there so y'all could check it out. I also put Keeper Tax. I heard good things about that as well. So just for clarity, guys, so you can track all day, which is amazing, but there is no automated way to send your taxes to the IRS unless you have the ability to e-file, but you have to have certain credentials in order to do that, right, with the IRS. So that's the reason why you would need to hire a tax professional, whether you have all your books in order or not, if that makes sense. But what Arianna is saying is that it makes it extremely more, definitely easier when you have all your stuff together. And I would imagine that it will be way cheaper when you have all your stuff together versus trying to get your tax professional to reconstruct this data for you, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
hopefully that makes sense.
Absolutely. And think about it. How would you like to log into a dashboard and just see all of your thousands, millions sitting there? You log into the dashboard and you see the little graph. It tells you, it whispers to you, hey, you're at 40,000 this month. You know what I mean? You're on your phone, you pull it up and it's just right there, right? So that's one thing that I really love. It gives you a bird's eye view of your finances. You see who hasn't paid you. You have all your invoices, everything right there. And it's really clear. I mean, oh, you're probably not going to be able to see it because of my background, but you pull up the app and it's just right there. Like right now, I say, okay, there's 8,000 in overdue invoices. I have 1,600 I can pay out instantly. Then it gives you all the graphs, right? It tells you your net income. Like, you see how quickly I pulled that up. Don't you want that to be there? You can go to your reports, you can look at your previous months, you can look at all your payments that came in. I mean, it's just one of those things that you want to do. And you connect just to answer your question, you can connect your bank account, obviously, to this particular app, and then it'll pull all of your banking information. So that goes back to the non-commingling and the segregation of funds. When you have your funds segregated to your business account, segregated to your credit card, right? Then that way you can go in there and you could just pull that information into your Wave apps.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I have Miss Marlene. I'm gonna give you the spotlight.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, filing quarterly, is that a personal preference or is that something that people should do when they're making a much larger volume? What's your recommendation there?
Okay, so the IRS asks that if you expect to have a tax liability over $1,000, you should file quarterly estimated tax payments. So if your bill is going to be more than 1,000, the IRS is expecting for you to file.
Hopefully
Thank
that
you.
answered the question.
That was simple. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. All right, Miss Elaine.
Okay, you answered my question. I was asking about the software, but one other thing, what state are you in, or are you multi-states that you can work with?
So I service clients in all states
Okay,
except for Oregon.
gotcha.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Where are you located,
I
Miss
am in
Elaine?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, I have a few clients. Well, I have several clients in Missouri. And the nuance with that is a lot. Well, I mean, I don't know. I find it more in your state that a lot of people work in Kansas.
Yep. You got
Yeah, even
across the
though
state
every
line.
state has a border, it's something about Kansas to Missouri, Missouri to Kansas,
Yep.
right? So, there's that interstate tax that you
Yeah.
guys may be subject to sometimes. That's another thing. I'm glad Miss Cat put keeper. Raise your hand. Who in here is selling products like in different states? Who's gonna be dealing with state tax, sales tax nexus? Anybody selling in different states? Me. Okay. So this keeper tax is gonna be great for you because this keeper tax automatically calculates sales tax. And when I tell you sales tax is a humdinger, it is a humdinger. Okay. If
And
I
and
wasn't on this call, I would call it something else. But
and that's the reason, guys. I advocate for having a professional. You obviously choose who you want to choose. We're not saying that you gotta, because I'll be honest with you. I got out the game a couple of years ago, and Arianna, she about done too. She like, look, no, she'll take y'all. But the point of the matter is, this is definitely not a sales thing. It's just a reality that once you are progressing and getting into another phase of business, that you have to take this side of the game seriously. And if you're selling products, you got services, you got this, you got that, you want to make sure that you're in compliance. And also you want to make sure that when you're trying to go get that loan or that grant or whatever you're trying to, the next move, and they say, hey, let me get your your tax returns, and line 31 ain't right, or there ain't no line 31 because you don't even file. You don't even file, right? You just doing your own thing. We're just trying to help you, to consider those things. So I just, like I said, it was supposed to be just a eye opener, something to think about, because a lot of times, like I said, we're crossing over from 9 to 5 to full-time entrepreneurship, and we just don't think of these things. So I definitely appreciate you. Anybody else? We're almost to that hour point. Anybody else want to chime in?
Miss Cat, can I chime in?
Most definitely.
It's very great and good that you all brought up the sales tax thing, because if you don't know about sales tax, it's a monster you don't want to have to deal with. Because I have been through the sales tax issue, because when I started 20 years ago, I had nobody to teach me what we're learning tonight. And I got audited for sales tax. And you have to have everything on point when you sit down with them. And I had to pay. And I paid it and I caught up. But it's a monster. And if you have employees that are working for you and it's a service entity that you're doing, a service business, you have to pay sales tax. It could be one employee, two employees. If it's you alone, it's different. If it's you alone running the business. But if you have employees, and I didn't know this, also you have to have your franchise taxes done. If you have an S corp or LLC or C corp. So those are things you have to know when you hire that tax person. If that's what you have, they have to be able to know to do all those things for you.
That's true. And that brings me, I know we're going to end, so I'll be brief, but that brings me to another point. The business owners also don't think about local taxes, right? Sometimes your local government, I know Texas want to know what do you have in your office? How much did that desk cost? They want to know, depending on where you are, certain municipalities want you to file those county business returns too. So let's not forget about those, because those can creep up on you. They can really, really sneak up out of nowhere. When you have 4 or 5 years that you haven't filed your local tax return. And a lot of business owners don't think about that, but they're there. So just take your time and go check whatever state you're in, county, city, to see if you have a local tax as a business owner, so that you can just be aware of that and become familiar with your franchise tax board. So, know where that is, know what it is, your comptroller, your assessor, whatever you call it in your state, you want to become familiar with them as well, because also if you're not compliant with them, that can they can suspend your actual LLC, corporation, partnership, whatever your legal entity is.
Good stuff. I know they said more money, more problems. Look, that's why you just get you a professional, so you don't have to worry about all that. But I definitely appreciate this Teaching Tuesday. I hope and pray that you guys got something out of it. Arianna, thank you so much for blessing us this evening. For those that are not a part of the community, like you guys, we're doing this every Tuesday, right? So if you are a part of the community on Facebook, thank you for being a friend, right? If you think that you have some colleagues or other people that may benefit from this information, just invite them to the group. It's a free group, right? You can join us every Tuesday for Teaching Tuesday. But thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Arianna. And if she is so gracious to give some more literature, more information, I will make sure that I drop it in the group. All right. So y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for tapping in.
Real
And
quick.
I will. What you got? What you got?
Next Tuesday.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Hold on. Let me put the spotlight on you. Okay, my bad, because I almost danced over that. So go ahead. What can we look forward to next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, if you are having problems with sales, closing sales, getting sales, this is what I do. I'm a sales expert. We will be talking about the raw sales strategy. It's a philosophy in sales psychology that once you learn it, because sales is not a talent, sales is a skill that you can learn and you can acquire. So we're going to go pretty in depth with the psychology of sales, and I hopefully can help a lot of people increase that money. So we got more work for Arianna to do.
Now that sounds
Here for it.
Well, that sounds like a plan. So thank you guys for tapping in. Hopefully y'all will be here next Tuesday to tap in for Elle, and definitely tell a friend to tell a friend. This is a free space, a free community, and we're just trying to help you elevate and take things to the next level. So I'll see you guys on the next episode, the next session, the next whatever with CEO Mode Activated. Y'all have a great. Oh, Arianna, what you got?
One more thing. Okay. Clearly, I'm pretty sure everybody here has a Facebook, right? Go give Kat her flowers. Go give Miss Kat her flowers. Go on your Facebook page, take a screenshot of this Zoom or something. Let me smile first. Go and don't give me no awkward looking like that or other, but go take this to the marketplace. And I'm saying that because Miss Cat is my colleague and she's my friend. And I have seen her pour into so many people. And she pushes hard for her mission because she loves what she does and she's very knowledgeable, etc. So come on, y'all go ahead and just share some live footage. Just drop a quick Facebook post about how great your night was here, the hour that we spent together. Not about me, about CEO mode activated. Please.
Aww.
That's my favor. That's what I'm asking y'all for, that favor. Okay.
Thank you so
Because
much.
y'all might have to ask me for a favor one day. So I'm asking y'all for that favor. Show my girl some love.
I appreciate that. Thank
Right.
y'all so
Good
much.
night, y'all.
Thank y'all so much for tapping in. And I will see y'all on the next rodeo. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Thank you, Miss
night.
Cat.